Welcome to the Outlaws podcast. This is Ryan, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Michael. Michael, how are you today?
Doing good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I got to ask you, what exactly happened yesterday in terms of your transportation?
Lost a tire, and I live in a small town, and all the tire stores close at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
So did you have to? Drew just told me that your tire size was too small for your vehicle. Did you have to walk to a store, or were you able to drive it for a short bit to see if any place was open?
No, it's just the tires on my truck are bigger than the spare. So I put the spare on it, was able to limp it back, but the size is about two sizes smaller than the tires that are on the truck, so
yeah,
I couldn't actually drive it.
Yeah, I gotta say that was pretty disappointing. You know, you're one of the highlights of the draft every year. We barely get to see you, and you always make these funny, witty comebacks that we don't expect, and so we missed your presence.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of my luck, though. At least it wasn't a water heater or something this time.
So, did you really buy a laptop, or are you just screwing around with us?
No, I really did. I actually got it the day that I sent that message and asked everybody if I could borrow one. Nick the message, hey, I just bought this. I said, I'm fixing to call or send a message and ask everybody if I can borrow one, and I want you to stir the pot, talk a bunch of smack, and that's where all that came from. So
yeah, I have to admit, I was kind of looking forward to you, headquartering your big desktop computer in the center of the draft room. That would have been pretty sweet, but it would have been pretty funny you showing up with the laptop because that would have surprised all of us for sure. All right, let me just get in to talk about your team. Did you have any sort of strategy going into it? And secondly, did Jordan have any input on what you were going to do?
Yes and yes. I had a strategy. I didn't want to be quite as cheap this year as what I normally am.
Mm-hmm.
For example, taking Longoria, But I also kind of wanted to stick with my letting these high dollar guys go, and then just kind of let the players that I like come to me.
Yeah.
Which didn't really work out the way it normally does. So I kind of wasn't as thrilled with my team as I am in other years. Jordan, he had a couple guys he wanted. I didn't end up getting either one of those, so he may be pretty pissed off at me right now. I haven't talked to him since the draft. So,
are you able to release those names, or is that kept quiet from trade talk?
He wanted Cliff Lee and Curtis Granderson.
Oh, okay.
And I actually made a push on Lee, and I finally quit after I went $5 over average price and saw that Derek wasn't going to stop.
Yeah.
So,
let me see. Do you remember what he went for? Or I can check it real quick. Cliff Lee went for $32. So yeah, that is definitely more than I was seeing him go for in mocks. And to be honest, he was a guy that I was targeting going into it. I wanted to come away with the draft with at least one ace, one top 10 pitcher. And Cliff Lee and Scherzer were two of the guys that I were really targeting. I ended up with two different guys altogether, but I really like Cliff Lee a lot. But yeah, for 32, I was hoping to get him for 28 max, somewhere around there.
I wanted him too, and I knew then I was willing to go over. When he got up to that price, I'm 33.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Dark over any day. And we already had a couple solid pitchers in Bumgarner and Sale, and really didn't see me pushing it, especially the shape we were in outfield. So,
yeah, I agree. I like Chris Sale and Bumgarner both a lot. They're both low whip guys, and even though Sale's got that unorthodox delivery, he's been staying pretty healthy since he's been moved into the starter role. And Bumgarner, I don't know if he's ever made a DL stint. So, and you got those guys for what, like mid-20s, 24, 25, something like that? Maybe Bumgarner might have gone for a couple dollars more, but yeah, I think you're safe with both of those guys for sure. Tell me what your favorite pick of the draft was, the one that you thought you got the best value on.
I really wanted Carlos Santana, and getting him for $1 is pretty good.
Yeah, I got to say that I didn't realize he went for only $10 for
Yeah,
considering he's
well,
like the
some of
number
the
three catcher. So some might even think better than that. That's a steal for sure.
I hate to point this out in case there's somebody that hasn't picked it up, but every year I like to get a catcher that plays every day.
Yeah, so you like the fact that he's going to be playing some first and third base and DH.
Yes, he's not going to be catching near as much. He's going to be playing more first and third, so he should be playing every day. So I really, I really wanted to get him or Mauer. I knew I'd have to get a bit more for Mauer with Drew. Plus, Santana's got a lot more RBI and power. So
Did Jordan have any input on Santana? I know he's been a big fan of him in the past.
no, no.
That was just you. Yeah, I think you're onto something there with the extra at bats from Santana playing some different positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage, and the fact that he can DH in the American League is going to get him more at bats too. Um, so, what was your you like Santana pick a lot? Which one did you not like? What was your least favorite pick?
Uh, I really didn't like giving as much for Chew as what I did, but outfield was so shallow. I
Yeah.
just kind of got in a position where I had to. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. That I don't see you go too much over the average price very often, but seeing Chu at 32, I know that when he was nominated, he was definitely the last outfielder of kind of that mid to elite tier because Little Ben was hoarding all the great outfielders, so kind of drained the pool out. And I was going in on Chu. I think Derek might have been in on him or somebody else. I can't remember who you were bidding against all the way up there, but
yeah,
um, yeah, sometimes you just got to spend the extra money to get a great player, even though you know that if he was nominated earlier, he wouldn't have gone that much.
yeah. Well, in drafting the way I do, there always ends up being one guy I have to shell out way more money for than what you normally would. Like last year, I gave 50 something for a fielder because I had to have that first baseman.
Hmm.
That was being one of them, so he kept pushing and pushing and pushing, but I had to have him, so I had to spend what I had to spend, and that's kind of what happened there. So,
Yeah, just looking over your roster here, I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be, but I am surprised. I don't think I've ever seen you make as many $1 buys as you have. You're usually pretty. You can pick off your choice on some of those lower guys, for $2 or $3 and kind of outbid us because we're usually out of money at that point.
yeah, I actually spent money this year, so.
Yeah, you did. What do you think about Jason Hayward at $9? I have to be honest. I wasn't really looking at targeting Hayward, but that's a lot cheaper than I thought he would go for.
Yeah, I like the potential that he has. I just don't think he realizes the potential he has.
Hmm.
I was kind of bummed out about getting him at first until I realized how cheap I got him. So I don't know. All in all, it's not the outfield that I was looking to get. So I'm kind of bummed out about it, but it's really an outfield that's hard to be disappointed about. So
Yeah, it's not like elite, but it's not bad either. I mean, you've got Chu, Hayward, and Will Myers. I wanted to ask you about Will Myers. He went for $22, which is, I thought maybe a couple bucks more than he would go for, but I was really interested in Myers until I saw that he had gotten hit by a pitch or something yesterday's game, and he might or might not be hurt. It turns out it's no big deal at all. But he's got a lot of power, obviously a big pedigree. Expected to do a lot of things. Probably is going to hit right behind Longoria in the lineup. I saw that you took him in both of our leagues. Are you really high on Will Myers?
yeah, and that's normally something I don't get too much into is the prospects, but I really like the guys before. And like today in that draft we did in that roto league with those other guys, he was just there, so
Hmm.
I went for him. Yesterday, our regular league, I kind of tried to get a little more power in my lineup this year. So
Yeah, I
that's what
gotta
I
I
was
gotta ask
doing.
you about one more player. Correct me if I'm wrong. Garrett Cole, $15. I know you say you're not a guy that likes to spend on the prospects and whatever, but was that I can't remember. Was that a pick that you were kicked out temporarily for, and the computer picked
Yep.
for you?
Yep.
What do you think about that? Are you upset, or you think? I mean, that's really not too bad of a price, but I
I'm
feel
not crazy about the pick. I'm happy with the price.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a guy who generally likes to pay for unproven guys or for last year's numbers, which I know he doesn't have a big sample size from last year. But at $15, it's not going to make or break me. So.
And I got to ask you about Dustin Pedroia, of course. $25. Considering that everybody in the league knows that you like him and that you take him every single year, there's always that threat of being raised up and getting his value bumped up just because everybody knows that you're probably going to take him anyway. But nevertheless, you still got him for a pretty good deal at 25. How high were you willing to go on Pedroia?
25 was the cheapest I have got him since I've been playing with y'all.
Yeah.
I've always given more than that for him, and I am totally unwilling to tell you guys how high I would go with him.
Hey, I don't blame you. That's a telltale sign that if Pedroia, keeps it up this year, then look for him again back on Team Laser Show.
Oh yeah.
Is he your all-time favorite player?
All time, no, but present day, yes.
Yeah, there's really not a lot you can dislike about Pedroia. Professional guy, plays hard every game in the lineup, but whenever possible. I think he play with like a torn ligament in his thumb for most of last season.
Opening day last year.
Yeah.
He tore his UCL in his thumb and played with it all year. And I don't know if he took one day off last year or not.
If he did, he played. I don't remember him taking a DL stint for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers hurt for it some last year, but that didn't scare me off from drafting again this year. So
yeah, considering that he's like
was still high, but Powell down. So
which one of your Red Sox pitchers that you got for $1 between Peavy and Lester? Which one of those guys do you like more?
It's really pretty even with the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like Lester for the fact that he's always been here. He's always been with the Sox. I mean, I like Peavy just because I like Peavy. I feel like Peavy's got a lot more potential to him, but he's just always been kind of like a bad luck guy. Look at him, he'll have a whip around 1 and then a ERA around 4.02, and it's kind of like, what does this guy got to do to catch a break? But
looking at your team, I think you're maybe a little too hard on yourself. I really like your pitching staff a lot. You got Sale and Bumgarner. You still got Matt Cain. You've got Doug Fister, and I know I'm missing another. You got Garrett Cole. You got a lot of top-level talent, and I don't think anybody's ever going to doubt you to fill out the bottom of your rotation with good people. And Lester and Peavy, they've all got big potential. Lincecum's another one. So I like your staff a lot, and one guy that stands out to me, and since you weren't at draft, you don't know, but there was kind of a big fight over this guy late in the draft. Everybody was maxed out on their max bid, and you had the most money, so you got the player, and you probably have no idea, but Anthony Rizzo at $4. There was a mini war in our room for him, so when you took him for $4, that made a lot of people unhappy.
But I had him targeted, and he's one of those guys I was looking, he's still on the board. Don't nominate him. Don't nominate him. Don't nominate him. But, I was actually pretty pumped about getting him. So.
Yeah, because, I like Hosmer. I think he can bounce back, but the fact that, just in case he's been kind of up and down throughout his short career, and the fact that you have another guy like Rizzo, a high upside guy that you can put in there just in case he's not playing well or whatever, that's nice insurance to have.
Well, when he's going to be one of the post-hype guys because, he was a big prospect with the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
And he got traded, and he ended up doing his minor league stuff, PCL, which is extremely hitter-friendly league.
Yeah.
And he just kind of got blown way out of proportion. Supposed to be the next big thing. Well, then he kind of underperformed to what everybody was expecting out of him, and now everybody's like, Anthony Rizzo, that guy.
Yeah, that's a good call.
There's lots of power potential there.
So, what would you say your biggest regret was at the draft? Was there somebody that you'd wish that you'd bid a little bit higher on that you didn't get?
I wish I would have kept going on Jay Bruce. I wanted Jay Bruce this year. I've already seen it. I know Brad asking him what it's going to take to get him. But I wish I would have kept going on Jay Bruce. I wanted Matt Holliday too, but if I had to pick between the two, I believe I'd rather rather have kept going on Jay Bruce. So.
Yeah, Jay Bruce was, I have the MLB TV, and I always say that I watch him play, and it's kind of frustrating because he has some ugly at bats sometimes, but every year he puts up the same similar stat line. He's so consistent from year to year. Even though not game to game, his numbers are always there at the end. He went for $28, and Holiday. I'm glad you mentioned him because what the heck happened with Holiday? He went to didn't he go for over $30?
Yes.
That was
crazy.
As a
matter of fact, I pointed that out in my little rant in the chat window.
Yeah, because that was crazy. I thought I could maybe get Holiday for $23, $24, and I don't remember if he was one of the last guys on his tier or whatever. But obviously, I think there's some Cardinals fans in the league that drove the price up on him.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that I had picked that I wanted for my infield. And when the price just kept going, he was like, you know what, I hadn't got any of the others that I wanted. Screw it. I'll find somebody else.
Yeah, I got you there. So looking at your team, are there some certain players that you're saying these guys are wide open, available for trade, and are there a certain position that you're looking to acquire back?
Nobody's really off limits.
Except for Laser Show, right?
It's going to be the same thing as every year. Pretty much anybody could go. Pedroia's going to cost you more than what you want, but anybody else I wouldn't be opposed to trade. Jordan was going to trade the whole lot. So, I don't know. I might like to pick up another outfielder, but other than that, there's no specific place I'm looking for.
So you'd probably be looking at if you're trading a third baseman, you'd want a third baseman back, that kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't really see a major weakness.
And there's some people that don't do it, but really that's the way this league works. And it took me a year to figure it out. Pitching is what wins in this league.
Hey, you know better than anybody else. I think you won the title a couple of years back. Last year you made the finals, and you've had great staffs pretty much every year we played.
Yeah, well, and it took me a while to figure that out. You can carry a lot of bench hitters. You've got to, because, there's so many of us that are picking up 2, 3, 4 pitchers a week, trying to keep it cycled through and getting ahead and getting ahead and getting ahead. You can't carry bench bats. I know there's going to be some people that say you can, but when I look at it the way I see it, I don't see how you can compete carrying bench bats. So, you've almost kind of got to, if you want to trade a third baseman or a shortstop, you're going to have to get one in return. So.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think you have to, if you're going to have a bench hitter, I think one is the max you can carry, and the guy that you're having on the bench, he's got to have some multiple positional eligibility so that, when somebody's out, he's got to be in the lineup. If you got a second baseman out and your guy on the bench is only going to be able to play in the outfield, I think that's kind of a waste.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me before we go, just tell me what your goal is for the season, and maybe how you felt on the draft on a scale of 1 to 10, how good you feel about your team.
Well, it's been my 4th year in the league. Won the championship once, been to the finals twice. So if I don't at least make it back to the big game again, I'm going to feel like it's another failure.
Yeah, that's some high expectations, but I get it.
Yeah, it is. As far as my draft, I'm always hard on my draft. I'm never happy with my team when I first walk away from it. I was pretty happy with it last year, but this year it just kind of so. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. Long season.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts before we go?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. Well, I'll be sure to send you some trade offers here pretty soon. I'm probably interested in a few of your players. So, am I allowed to deal straight with Jordan on these trades, or I didn't mind dealing with him on that Pujols trade we did last year.
Yeah.
So
he came to me with that Pujols trade about 12 times last year. Finally, I was like, you know what, just do it. Do it. You want him that bad? He's yours, big man.
That's the thing about Jordan is that he can be really persuasive and kind of naggy on you. You're like, man, I really don't want to do this, but he's just bugging me so much. I'll just cave in and do it. Him and Little Ben kind of have that impact on me at times.
Well, and the thing about it too, there's a lot of these guys, I think, though, in the league that don't realize just exactly how knowledgeable about baseball Jordan is. Because, he does things and he picks up people, and you're like, why would he do that? Like the year, what was the catcher he picked up like 3 times that year?
That was Carlos Santana that first year before he had gotten called up, if I remember you're talking about.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, why is he doing that?" But he really he knows so much more about baseball than anybody realizes. That it's almost a surprise. So
yeah, I can see that because you don't ever see him. He's not as active as he once was. Partly because you're running the team, and also because he's busy with his job and his kids and all that. So
yeah,
I probably don't respect him as much as I should, but maybe he's behind the scenes doing some more research than I'm aware of.
Well, he's actually the one that pushed for that Josh Donaldson trade we did last year.
Yeah, that's a good point because Donaldson kind of came out of nowhere, at least for me. I didn't never really heard of him before last year, and I didn't really buy it when he started playing so well. But Jordan made the right call on that one.
Yeah, see, I didn't either. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, and he turned out to be like a top 40 player.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, thanks for coming and doing this podcast. Hope to see you at the football draft. That was very unfortunate we weren't able to see you.
I will be there.
All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, see ya.